You see what's on the screen. You know what time it is, right? Legit. So let's get dirty on this one. All right. Because this is gonna go deep. This is gonna go ham. This here is this is something that we need to speak about, right? And we're going to talk about this in a different way. All right. I want to approach this in the way that we approach things, right? Where we come from, right? We're going to apply some of the stuff that we've learned to understand what it is that's really going on. Okay. So Kanye West is not an anti-Semite, right? He is just not liberal. Okay. Most black people aren't liberal. Okay. Black people, are, they're tribal as a whole. Okay. And in being tribal, they have a belief structure about all of them being a certain way. Okay. White people don't understand this because they bought into the ideas and the principles of liberalism. Right. And when I say liberalism, I don't mean like what conservatives think of. Right. And what like fucking you think of here in America. I mean the original principles of liberalism. Right. Like the original like Enlightenment ideologies where like you're an individual person. Black people don't believe that. All right. And neither do Jews. That's the part of this that I think a lot of people are missing. Okay. Because the Jews are a race and a religion of people who carry that with them everywhere they go. And they'll take that hat out, their yarmulke, as it were, right, and put it on every time they need to, right? And they'll go, well, I'm Jewish, right? My people were oppressed and holocausted, right? They'll do that shit, right? I don't know why I just did like a Joker voice for that. I apologize for that. That was probably wrong of me. Anyway, right? So, like, these individuals here, black people and Jews, are not liberals, right? They're tribal as a people. They're tribes. That's why, like, it's the tribes of, the tribes of Abraham. The tribes of Moses, like the tribes of Jerusalem, right? Like each of these here, the tribes of Israel. Right, the God's chosen people. They're arguing about who is God's chosen people. Like the Jews say that they are, the blacks say that they are, right? And this is why, like, you hear this from a lot of like wokety woke blacks and a lot of blacks who are like, I'll be honest with you, higher IQ than most normal black people. Okay, because like they try to educate themselves, and when they educate themselves about themselves and about their people and their history, right? And when they do this, it comes off to white people as them being anti-Semitic, when in reality, they're arguing about who is God's chosen people because they think they are. So with that being said, Kanye does have some dumb ideas. He really, really does. All right. But he's not actually anti-Semitic. He is standing here arguing, like, because you're treating him like a white person. He's not white. All right. He's African. Right. And in being so, because of the fact like black people as a whole don't really know who their people are as an in general thing, because like they were brought here without a tribe and their tribe was lost to history, through slavery and the American ideology of, mixing up and all these type of things. Right. And yes, most blacks are like a quarter European, right, as it were. So, and yes, there's a lot of Jews who are white people who are not ethnically fucking Semitic. They are ethnically, European, right? But they claim to be Jewish because of their religion, right? And you can talk about Khazar and all the nonsense that goes with that, right? But ultimately, right, this is not our fight between the Jews and the blacks. That's why it is that, like, they have a really sordid history. And when you start talking about rappers and you start talking about musicians and you start talking about Hollywood people, right? These are heavily in it. Say what you will, all right? Jews are overrepresented in that area, all right? Like it is what it is. And then you start talking about rappers, talking about the people who took advantage of them, right? When they showed up and they gave them really terrible contracts that they couldn't get out from under, like, and this is not just black people, white. This happened to white artists as well. Like I think I heard the Stones or somebody was talking about this recently. They said like, wait. You're telling me we owe you $10 million, even though we already produced an album, we went on tour for you. So if we produce like 4 more albums for you, we're going to owe you $40 million. Like, how the hell does this work? Right. And like, so, you know, there's a big conversation here, right, to be had that isn't anti-Semitic, as it were, right? It's a conversation of, if we want to have Enlightenment values, or if we want to have more tribal values as people, right? And I know, like, we in America, we're all a bunch of mutts, right? But everybody's, part Native American, part German, part English, part Scottish, part Irish, right? Romanian, Polish, Italian, whatever the fuck you are, right? And we're all mixed up. So, like, we don't really have a heritage. These people here do. So you're not arguing with somebody who is like you. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn this on, and I'm going to chime in on it. All right. So let's get down to it.
By Margaret Sanger, a known eugenics with the KKK to control the Jew population. When I say Jew, I mean the 12 lost tribes of Judah, the blood of Christ, who the people known as the race black really are. This is who our people are. The blood of Christ. This, as a Christian, is my belief. And I believe that if we saw ourselves as more exactly what our culture is based on, think about us judging each other on how white we could talk would be like.
Okay, so Kanye West said that Margaret Sanger, right, was trying to control the Jews. All right, so let's get down to this. Margaret Sanger, right, and the KKK. Now, here's the problem that you run into here. The KKK were not pro-Jewish, right, in the end of the day. God damn it. Right. The KKK were white people who were white Anglo-Saxons who were upset about what they were losing. They had a population of people who were outbreeding them. And so they had to learn they had to figure out a way to try and control, right, the amount of human beings being born in America that were not them, right? Because like at that point, you're talking about the Irish, the Italians, the blacks, the Mexicans, the Puerto Ricans, right? All of these people at that level, they were very upset about them being outnumbered. So they started sitting here trying to eliminate them as quick as possible, right? And as slick as possible without actually like genociding them. And the way they came up with was through things like abortion and, Planned Parenthood and eugenics, right? By labeling individuals imbeciles. They gave them tests in English when they didn't speak English or they couldn't read or write, right? That's mostly black people, I'm be honest with you. These are blacks who were coming up from the sharecropping who, were illiterate, right? And they labeled them as imbeciles, and they sat there and, basically sterilized them, right? And they did the same thing to Italians and Irish as well, and the Irish and the Italians eventually ended up folding into, what blacks and Jews would call as white, right? Though it's still not quite there for a lot of them, right? Like when you go up to Boston, you talk to an Irish person, right? They're sort of kind of white compared to like the white Anglo-Saxons in Vermont, New Hampshire, and Connecticut, right? These are a different breed. The people downtown in Manhattan. So like, understand there's more to this conversation than be had because like the rest of the country has no idea about these type of fucking arguments that we have over here, right? The East Coast, like, if you're not white Anglo-Saxon, right? If you're not like fucking of the British stock, right? In the end of the day, like you hate the fucking British stock because like the fucking British stock hates you. They look down on you as an animal, right? Because like the British people don't have any humanity. They don't have like any soul. They fucking want everybody just to like fuck missionary and like go to work every day and pay your taxes and then don't do anything else, right? And the moment we get drunk and rowdy and enjoy ourselves and like, love our women and love our fucking children and enjoy our lives and fucking like just bask in the beauty of fucking what God created and making you human, excuse me, right? They end up standing here going, I can't stand that, right? You know what I mean? They get their fucking jowls all out of line and shit, right? There's a whole like mentality of like nobody puts baby in the corner, like that type of shit, right? So that's kind of like where these type of mentalities come from, and the rest of the country has no idea this fucking exists. They don't know anything about this, right? This is an argument that we have in the East Coast between like, and I mean, all the people who aren't white Anglo-Saxons and the Anglo-Saxons, and then the rest of y'all scream Jew, right? Because you don't understand that like the advertising people, these madmen, right? These people who like fed you all this shit and like did all these things to you, they were Anglo-Saxons. They weren't Jewish, right? And like even a lot of the movies were on that fucking level too, right? It's like there's a lot of fucking mental here that like people really don't understand. It's very nuanced, right? When you talk about racial ideologies in America. So let's keep rocking though. Let's listen to the rest of what the fuck he's saying.
You know, a Jewish person judging another Jewish person on how good they danced.
Based. For all y'all don't get that, man, you gotta look up dancing Israelis and you'll understand. Like legit. Like just we'll walk past this for the moment. Based.
Or something. I mean, that's probably like a bad example. People are going to get mad at that.
Like people gonna get like, nah, Kanye, they ain't on the internet. They don't even know about that, right? That's some slick talk right there. I'll be real with you, homie. You know what I mean? Let's keep it a buck. That is some slick ass talk. Real shit. That's why this is on here, because like nobody even wants to mention that. All right. Like legitimate, all the coverage that there is, they're like, that's so anti-Semitic. Right. But like nobody knows why. All right. Legitimately, nobody knows why. Like, because like when 9/11 happened, there were some Jews who were dancing in Israel. There was some dancing Israelis as they were. And, you know, that highly upsets the whites. Right? You know what I mean? Like they can't tell them that, you know, like it's, we're gonna keep going. No, we're gonna keep going.
Shit. But another thing that they do, that I probably want to edit that out. Probably not like that. Okay. So, you know, I was talking to Ice Cube today, and we got really beat up in 2020 for saying we need to approach things a different way and not just be trauma drunk, right? Which is a term that, God just hit me with in the past couple of days. We are no longer trauma drunk. We're no longer trauma drunk, and we're no longer trauma bonding, and we're no longer woke in the sense of what woke is, because woke is just complaining about racism, but not doing anything about it. So what we're going to do about it is say, hey, you know what? Y'all not going to send nobody at me based on my opinion. You asked the question before. It drove me crazy to not be able to say that I like Trump. Today's shit really hit the fan.
All right. So anyway.
Exactly what our culture.
So with that being said, this isn't, I think white people need to like stay out of this, right? And let these two fight it the fuck out, because it ain't got shit to do with us. It has to do with them. Let them to, because like, let's be real, all right? The black people aren't going to put fucking Jews in oven. They're not going to cause a Holocaust, right? And like, the problem is that like they need to have this argument out, and white people need to fucking get the fuck out of the way and let them have their goddamn conversation, because like this is a religious claim, right, between the two of them about who is God's children, and they ain't got shit to do with us, because none of us are. At the end of the day, all right, we don't have like there's no like Christian, normal white Christian person who goes like, we are God's chosen people. No, we're not that. All right. And like, we need to let these two squabble it the fuck out. Real shit. Let them do what they do. We stop censoring him. He's not an anti-Semite. This is a religious argument between them that they need to talk about. Ain't got shit. We need to stay the fuck out of it and mind our business. You hear that, white people? Mind your fucking business. It's Tom P's Pinot News. Holla at your boy.